What's up, Gus?
What's up, Tom? How you doing, man?
All right, yourself?
Doing all right, man.
Sitting here chilling.
Ah, man, I had to stop
Good
at see
seeing
my
you.
big cuz, man. I ain't mean to bombard you, man, but I got a question, cuz.
Oh, okay.
I've through the years, man, I watched you, man, do so many things, man, and through my journey, man, I just fumbled the ball, man, in my relationships, man, and I see everybody getting married, man, and I want a piece of that, man. Like I'm trying to find a wife, man. Like where would I start looking, man?
Oh, that's a good question, cuz. It's a serious question. I appreciate you coming to me with something like that. Let me put this down and give you my undivided attention. So, first of all, let me start it off this way. Let me tell you where you can't find them. You're not going to find them at the bar. You're not going to find them hanging out in the streets. Quality women, they just don't hang out in them places. And when they do go to, say, maybe the bar, or they do go to the streets, they usually go to the bar with other married women or other quality women, right? And if you see them in the streets, they usually just sliding through from point A to point B, right? They ain't trying to maintain in the streets.
But let me ask you this, because I was deceived. I fell in love what it could be instead of what the reality is. Like I see red flags in some of my relationships, and I thought that it would change, and I realized that only thing that I could change was me, and it never worked. So like, how do you know that you got the right one? How do you know you're ready for the right one?
It's a good question. There's two questions in there. So I'm going to take it first of all. I'm going to take the first question, the obvious question. You have to set some standards and some criteria, right? What matters to you, first of all. If you got that, that's going to take you way past anything physical, right? Because if this person doesn't meet your standards, you're not even going to waste time on that endeavor. That's number one. How do you know when you're ready? You know you're ready when you are mentally, spiritually, financially mature, right? You have to go through that growth process to get ready, right? It's not something that you wake up and decide one day. You know you're ready when you're mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally mature. You're ready.
So is the marriage thing different than boyfriend and girlfriend? Is the commitment different, or is
Oh,
it
oh, that's it's, people will say this people will say this to you all the time. It's a whole new game, but that's where the lie is, because it's not a game. It's absolutely different. You've taken a commitment, you've pledged a commitment in front of God to this person, right? And it comes down to, as a man, do you honor your commitments? You know what I mean? Because there's going to be temptations and things that come up that make you want to roll out. You know what I mean? And what's going to come down to it is what's going to stop you from rolling out, or is going to make your decision up for you, is one, is this person's commitment to me as strong as my commitment to her? That's number one. Number two, you know, how do I want the course of this relationship to go? Because it's, you know what I mean? And really, you really ain't going to get past question one, because if that person's commitment to you ain't as great as your commitment to her.
So how do I not bring my old actions from my old relationship into my new one? Because I find myself looking for some of the old stuff in my new one, and then that might damage my thinking on believing in this relationship. I mean, I don't know.
So that's a good question, and that's a hard thing to do. And you got to understand, we're all operating out of trauma, right? You might have to take some time to yourself. You might have to find something that repairs some of the damage that you have sustained. You may even need to sit down and simply just talk to somebody. You know what I mean? A professional, because ain't nothing wrong with that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But you might want to do that, and it doesn't have to be a high-powered, high-paid psychiatrist. It can be the preacher, but again, that goes back to you working on you.
Do black men seek help like that? I mean, because they look at that. I mean, do we really?
Statistically,
Yeah.
no. But that's something that's slowly changing. So, um, but I will say this: you stop repeating past mistakes when two things happen. One, when you start working on you, and two, when you start dealing with some of the trauma that you sustained. You stop repeating. And I said two things, but I'm gonna throw a third one in there.
Right.
When you add criteria and standards.
I've been looking at their bodies, man, mislead my judgment. I mean, I think
that's not a standard. That's not a standard. That's not a criteria. That's the problem. I did the same thing. You know what I mean? If a standard is, okay, what's a deal breaker for me? Right? That's first thing. Second question should be, what do I want in a wife? And your third question and the only question is, of these people that I'm dating, and you should be dating with a purpose, who's matching up to the standards that I've set for myself, right?
Wow.
And those that aren't meeting the criteria, don't meet those standards, you should spend less and less time with that person, right? Because if you dating with a purpose, I'm dating looking for a wife, right? And when you approach it with that mindset, you ain't trying to make somebody into something they not. Right. You ain't trying to save anybody. You understand what I'm saying? You ain't trying to change anybody or better anybody's behavior.
Right.
It's just a standard that you set for yourself.
I see. Man, it took me all these years, man, to realize that it's a difference between a grown female and a grown woman. I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you talking about spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially, like being raised in the hood. Like macking was the thing. Like with nobody has ever sat down and talked about marriage. It's how many women can you get? Who's the finest? How many body counts we got? Like marriage wasn't a big thing, man. Like so now I'm at that part. I'm confused because I always dealt with the drama part of it. I thought that was a relationship.
You know why you're confused though? Because those standards, those weren't your standards. You know what I'm saying? You got to remember, we came through voting rights, civil rights, freedom, slavery. We came through so many things, and we came through that as black men and women together, right? So when you start picking up standards of another culture, that's when you start getting confused like that, right? If you start to question some of the things that you do, you have to just basically go back to yourself and say, is this a standard of my culture? And if it's not, steer left.
But why is it that we see other cultures get married young? They got 20, 30 years in. Like we usually get married after somebody done got shot. Somebody just did 15 years in the penitentiary. Somebody just tired. Like why isn't it taught in our culture to marry with a purpose? Like, I mean, to date with a purpose. Like, I was raised around some Max, man, and I took pride in that.
Because culturally, around 1960, we as a people started accepting everybody else's cultural standards. Those aren't our standards. We need to get back to basics, what we grew up like. All right, give you a case in point. Nowadays, it ain't no thing to see a kid cuss a teacher out and tell her, like, yo, after school, it's me and you, right? That's today.
That's true.
Back in our day, we did that, but that was to somebody that was in our class. We would have never thought about doing that to the teacher or to our mom. And that's because now the social standards and norms, that's accepted today. It might not be happily accepted, but it is definitely a social norm today. Stuff that we would never have thought of doing. And it's because they've accepted somebody else's standards and criteria. Those aren't ours.
So man, how do you pick them out though? Cause like you just can't look at them and just say, spend time with them, talk to them on the phone. Now you can't even approach them. They're like it's you can't even approach them now. Like it's crazy.
So that's a good question. You know, it's like what I tell people. Like it's like this: if you got a bowl full of M&Ms, and all you want is the blue M&Ms, right? That criteria, that standard. I want the blue M&M. That's a standard. That's a criteria. That's a preference, right? You're gonna have to study that bowl. You might have to move it around a bit, but you're studying it with a purpose, looking for the blue M&Ms, and you're gonna have to pick them. See what I'm saying?
Right.
But you, number one, that's the standard. Number two, you got a purpose, and all you doing is following your plan. So the chances that you're gonna be more successful go higher. When you out there, I'm just gonna try some M&Ms. Oh, the red ones taste like crap. Oh, the yellow ones are bitter. You don't even know which one you want. You know what I mean? Whole different ball game.
Oh man, I needed that. Oh, cuz I got a run, man. But listen, man, thank you, man, for your time, man.
Anytime.
And I'll be back to I'm on a mission, man. I'm gonna find me something, but definitely, man, when I
keep your head up,
I get you where I'm going, man, I'm definitely come back, and then I need some of that guidance, man. I love you. Hey, be
Love
easy,
you too.
cuz.
You
All right,
too.
I'm gonna holler at you, man.
Take care.
All right, cuz, I see you.